called the hopping show.
It's like a hopping show. Yeah. Are we live?
Not live.
Not live. Not live.
Oh, shit. I'll take real.
You can't have this guy on live TV.
It's the backpacking beer adventure. Let's get hopping.
Yeah, Salt Lake was awesome. Bewilder and Epic Brewing. Epic lived up to its name, Bewilder. Freaking awesome. Good beer, and now it's time to get on north. That'd have been some shit right there.
It'd have been nice to get a ride from a barn.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Cool.
Obviously, it's a very scenic brewery from the patio here. So one of the reasons we chose this place is it's a lot cheaper real estate than Jackson.
Yeah.
But it's also just an amazing chunk of land, and being out here on the water and the mountains is just inspiring. Being able to get off work and go fishing, go mountain biking, go rafting, all that kind of stuff, it makes this just a great quality of living. It's not the easiest place to live sometimes, especially in the wintertime. But the lifestyle very much makes up for it. If you're into outdoor stuff, especially, it's like paradise. I'm the marketing director. I met Jeremy, the owner, as he was kind of starting this out, and started to kind of get a name for ourselves in Denver. And Colorado is actually still our #1 market. Wyoming is a very close #2, but it's the smallest population in the whole country. So
Yeah.
we're crushing it for Wyoming,
Yeah,
but
hell
there's
yeah.
just not a ton of people. So
Yeah.
out by the reservoir is actually Bureau of Land Management land. So we don't technically own it. We own about 7 acres like here.
Yeah.
And then it's surrounded by federal land, so anyone can camp there at any time. It's a pretty nice place to camp. Patio's obviously the place to be. We got the tap room, full kitchen. We got some good food coming out of here. Always got fresh beer flowing, and always got some to go.
Had that Drunken Master burger many a times.
Yeah, tasty burger.
Yeah. Wow, freaking delicious.
Gotta have some kung fu on the TV. You know, that's kind of a staple from the old days. Head back to where all the magic happens. So this is our pilot system. This brew system puts out 7 barrels at a time. If you're thinking of a half barrel keg, 14 of those. It allows us to test things out in smaller batches, not make a gigantic 240 barrel batch of a beer that we're not 100% sure about. Really dial it in and decide what we want for the final recipe. I'm actually drinking a Kolsch right now. All the ladies of Melvin kind of came together on International Women's Day and brewed a Kolsch here on this system. And we've got it on tap right now. It's tasting really great. These are 240 barrel fermenters. These are 120s here, so that thing's kicking out 14 kegs. This thing's kicking out 480 kegs.
What are you going through the most?
Melvin IPA is our #1 selling beer, and that's what we've kind of built our reputation around. And last year we released a hazy IPA called Back in the Haze.
Okay.
And that's kind of quickly become our #2. We do a little bit of barrel aging, especially our Imperial Stout Ruckus.
Yeah, that's a delicious one.
That goes into barrels quite a bit. Barrel-aged Ruckus actually won the silver medal last year at Great American Beer Fest for barrel-aged beer.
But Ruckus is one of my favorite beers that you guys make.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it too. It's really drinkable for being a massive Imperial Stout. They're going to be packaging back here right now. So.
Okay.
Don't pay attention to this guy. This is Rooster. This is our packaging manager.
What are we doing?
It sounds white, boy.
It's called the Hopping Show.
It's like a hopping show.
Yeah.
Are we live?
Not live.
Not live. Not live.
Oh, shit. I'll take real.
You can't have this guy on live TV.
I'll take, no, absolutely not. I'm an HR nightmare and a live TV nightmare, so.
How often are you canning?
5 days a week. Sometimes 6. But again, good luck finding people that want to work and do it. This place is too beautiful in the summertime to want to be here.
And then this is Christopher Walken. So this is the walk-in cooler. Woo, feels nice back here. More kegs back here. And then hops, lots and lots of hops. This is the milling room. We actually have a grain silo in the back that holds two-row. Two-row malt's what we use more than anything else. Yeah. So we keep it in the silo, and then that'll come in here through pipes and all that. All this stuff is more specialty malt. White wheat here, and Pilsner malt, smoked malt, and various specialty malts that we use for smaller batch stuff. This is our quality control area. Every beer that we do gets put through all the tests to make sure it's got the right IBUs, the right ABVs, you know, not showing signs of VDKs and other things that might lead to diacetyl and acetaldehyde and various off flavors. Yeah. You know, we want the beer to taste as good when you get it in Colorado as when you get it here. Yeah. And with hops especially, oxygen is the enemy, and we make a lot of hoppy beers that are meant to be drank fresh, and the least amount of oxygen, the better. Most of the industry standard is about 100 parts per billion of dissolved oxygen in a can, and we try to keep ours under 20. So we're trying to do it like 5 times more strict than most.
Go above and beyond if you can.
And the way Sarah broke it down to me was like, if you filled up an entire football stadium full of ping pong balls, there would be about 1 billion ping pong balls in there. Right. And if only 20 of those were oxygen,
you're doing all
that's
right.
what we're trying to do. Cool. So yeah, it's a painstaking effort to make sure that it's as good as it possibly can be. I'd say that's most of the tour, so let's taste some beers. First one here, Misbehavin'. That was the International Women's Day Kolsch that I was talking about that we brewed on the pilot system. Really light, drinkable. It's got a nice like little white grape sort of character to it that I really like.
Yeah, that comes through white wine kind of kick.
Right, almost like a Riesling or something. Starting with the lighter stuff, you know, it's always good to have some light, approachable beers.
Yeah, that's a perfect one for just kicking out here on your beautiful little patio.
I know. I think we should have made more of it, maybe. I don't know. Killer Bees next. You had that straight off the canning line, so you know you've had that before.
Straight from the canning line to here. Probably.
It's a blonde ale with clover honey. So we get the honey from Idaho, just across the border here, and I mean you can go like 5 minutes that way and you're in Idaho. So it's essentially local honey.
It's like a little something to the body that reminds you of honey. Like, kind of comes through.
Yeah, and most of the honey ferments. It doesn't leave you with a bunch of residual sugar. It ferments out. You just get more of the aroma and flavor of the honey. Jesus is next. Probably the most popular beer in the tap room. Mexican style lager. Typically when people designate a Mexican lager, it has corn added to it. So we add about 25% flake corn to the grain bill. Just a nice, crisp, clean Mexican lager. For people that like Modelo or, you know, Corona or whatever, you can go with a lime or without.
I can see why that's a big seller.
Pilsner, the last one on this tray, took a traditional Pilsner recipe, added a little more hops than your average Pilsner because why not?
We're Melvin.
Yeah, because we're Melvin. Saphir hops, a relatively new German hybrid. Germans, you know, are known for the noble hops, earthier. American hops are known for a little more bright citrus kind of qualities. Yeah. And so they're starting to hybridize those two and create new varieties. I think it's got a nice, it reminds me of like orange Tic Tacs. I mean, it's kind of a weird description, but.
Now you put it in my head, I taste it right away.
It's like you taste it. It's like a little like orange candy sort of flavor. Star Valley is going to be next. We are in Star Valley. That's what they call this area. This is kind of our tribute to the land. 5% IPA, so a real classic West Coast. It's got all the flavor and body of an IPA really, but it's 5%.
But at 5%, yeah, you still get all that nice citrusy, hoppy aroma, and yeah, it's delicious.
Next one is Juice Theorem. The idea with this one is to bring a little more citrusy, berry, juicy sort of flavors to a West Coast IPA. You know, West Coast IPAs are known as more bitter, more piney. East Coast IPAs are known as more fruity, you know, more sweet. We kind of wanted to like flip it and kind of bring more of the juicy, fruity flavors to a West Coast, clear, slightly bitter IPA.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're going hazy without actually going hazy.
Without going hazy.
Yeah.
And that was the exact idea behind it. We want to really showcase this place as a destination. So we always try to do things that bring people out here and just show them how cool this place is. Because a lot of people think of Wyoming and they think of areas that aren't this
they
gorgeous.
think I-80.
Yeah, you know, and so we want to get them up here and show them our little chunk of Wyoming. So this one's back in the haze. We wanted to bust out a hazy IPA that wasn't ridiculously expensive. So this one's $9.99 a 6-pack.
Damn.
So that one's immediately become our number 2 seller. So
Nice.
give people something reasonably priced and tasty, turns out it sells.
They're gonna get after it.
Melvin IPA, you know, this is the one that started it all. So
Classic.
Really classic West Coast IPA. Nice body to it, a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of like toffee flavor from the malt, and then you get a lot of the like citrus and pine. Nice balance. Hubert is next. Hubert's probably my favorite beer, if I had to say.
I always think of this as like the chairlift beer, or by the river beer, kayak beer, like you're going for distance, but you still want flavor.
Next is the Waring Empires.
Solidarity.
So,
Cheers.
this is what I'm drinking. This is part of the experimental series. Yeah. It's essentially our brewers having fun and doing different things. And it's funny, the artist for the experimental series usually gives us the labels ahead of the beer. And so the beer is actually inspired by the artwork rather than vice versa. With the artwork, we wanted something bright, spring. He went with this Asian kite sort of theme. And so it has these Asian kites. And so I named it, the Waring Empires is like an era of China when kites were first created. So we kind of named it based on the artwork. And then the brew team made the beer with lotus hops and Buddha's hand citrus to kind of embody that Asian vibe as well. And the end result I'm loving, like I'm loving the beer. So.
That is delicious too.
6%, it's got some hops, it's got like some fruit.
There's a little bit of like a yeasty ester in there that like complements the whole thing, like comes together. Like, yeah, this is, I kind of want to sit under like a shady tree next to a river. And just
This one's what I'll be drinking a lot this weekend. It's good warm weather beer for sure. And then this one was the experimental beer that came out before the Waring Empires. We called Velvet Rut. And
smoky.
So this one's a smoked porter. So that was some of that smoked malt you saw back there.
Right.
So this one's an 8.5% porter with some smoked malt. But it, again, is really balanced, really easily drinkable. I'm not typically a smoked beer drinker a lot, but especially for colder weather, which is when this came out,
I got you.
It was kind of perfect for that.
I'm a fan of smoked beers, and it's just, the body with the smoke, like, it complements each other perfectly.
It's not overly smoky, but it just gives you a little of that campfire sort of essence.
It's enough smoke where if you didn't like smoke, like, you got enough other beers to choose from. But if you even like a hint of it, like, this is gonna be a good time. Well, thanks for sharing all these beers, taking us around. It's been incredible. I've been to thousands of breweries around the planet, and this is one of my favorites by far. Not only for the beer, but the scene, everything.
It's flattering to hear. I mean, there's so many breweries out there, lots of great breweries, and we're just doing our thing and try to keep it authentic and unique, and certain people like yourself respond to it. It's really gotten busier and busier every year here. Like at first it was a little off the beaten path, not too many people made it out here, and then little by little every year it's just busier and busier, so it's good.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're in a beautiful goddamn place. And hitchhiking is gonna be so easy. Watch how quickly we get 1 or 2 rides to town. Happy days.
Happy days.
Here to stay.
Ooh. Welcome to Jackson Hole. You couldn't pick a better day to have a beer here on the deck, out here on the town square.
Gavin had the Q Roadhouse restaurant. I was brewing with another guy, home brewing out of my garage quite a bit. That person was punching me in the chest saying, we need to start a brewery, we need to start a brewery. I said, okay, I have 2 conditions. I will only start a brewery if we serve food, and I am not willing to run a restaurant. He kind of looked at me a little funny and said, I don't understand how those 2 can coexist. I said, let me see if this guy, Gavin, who is well known around town as a restaurateur entrepreneur, would be willing to let us put a brewery in one of his restaurants. One night, I was sitting at the bar of one of his restaurants south of town called the Bistro, Rendezvous Bistro. I was with a friend, mutual friend, and I said, introduce me to that guy. And he did, and 6 months later, we were sticking a brewery into the Q Roadhouse. And that's how it kind of started. Food has always been a huge part of what we did because we always divided the company that way. You know, like Gavin has always been responsible for kind of providing like this kind of culinary experience. And I've always been responsible for trying to make good beer.
So when we built this thing, it's an old vet clinic that was here for 40 years, sitting empty for a long time, this whole lot, both of these lots across the street. And so we were able to build between this building, which is a little over 10,000 with the elevated up here as we go up on the 2nd floor, and across the way, which is, we have a sausage company and an ice cream company, which is right across the parking lot called
And you own those?
Yeah. Bovine and Swine and Cream and Sugar. In our first year, you know, we did 3,000 barrels, really. So that was on the 30-barrel system. And half these tanks were not here.
Since you backpacked all the way out here, we thought we'd share some beers with you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Seems like you can hang, so we're gonna roll you through. I'm not sure when you're hitchhiking next, so.
Not till tomorrow.
Not till tomorrow. Okay, good. This is the artist formerly known as Rhombus.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I was drinking this beer last night up in Curtis Canyon, camping with the fam.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
This was the 6-pack that made its way up there.
Wilson, Wyoming is where we started our brewery. Wilson then became the name of the beer when we needed to change it from Rhombus IPA because there's a Rhombus Brewing Company, I think, in South Dakota. So we needed to change the name. So we said, why not pick a name that's kind of, you know, geo-affiliated with, you know, our location. So we did Wilson. And then we said, well, what should be the mascot? Well, Wilson is the Duke of Lizards and kind of fish lore. Okay. So there it is, lizard.
What's fish, man? What are you talking about? Like, what is it?
I'm not answering your leading questions.
Trout? Oh, okay. Sorry.
But it wouldn't be fair to say it's my beer because Max has changed it a lot for the better.
I mean, Max has really turned this beer into something that you're taking up into Curtis Canyon or something that we're going to sit around to have some dinner with. Put us on the map in 2013. It smells great, man. It's fucking, yeah, it just never disappoints. It's the gift that keeps on giving year after year after year. This has become a crowd favorite. You're aware of the Walrus.
I was a big fan of hazy beers. I always loved hazy beer, and
Yeah, it's a good one.
the Walrus was like, it like demanded kind of instant respect, and it was like second to no other. And that was kind of like, you know, I am the Walrus.
This is a new wit beer called Set Break. There's something called the Grand Teton Music Festival here in Jackson, Wyoming, which has been out for, I don't know, maybe 50 years out in Teton Village. There's always an intermission. They serve beer, and so they asked us to make a special beer for this summer. I said, all right, sounds great.
Super dry,
I always appreciate that.
very tasty, almost peppery.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it.
You know, a lot of people think of a Belgian wit as a soft beer, and this beer's got some serious punch to it. There's a musical reference in every beer. Family Vacation is another Fish reference. It's from the song Gumbo, if anybody's wondering.
And then A&G, so Avarice and Greed, which is, you know, you right now are the first to be able to try A&G.
You guys as
actually
well?
dope.
Is this the
I
first
haven't
This
had
is
it
the
in a can
first time I'm cracking a can of A&G. Just came off the line. They're packaging it right
So
now.
unless one of those guys have been cracking a can
Well,
behind the
they
scenes.
might have cracked a couple sort of to see what's up, but this is the.
They most
you know.
definitely did. This beer has been in a fucking cave hiding for the last 6 months.
Turned out amazing. It's definitely my favorite beer I've tried today. Is this going to be a year-rounder or?
Yeah, if it sells. So that transitions us into seltzer. After you just had your best beer of the day. We are quite proud of our seltzer. We just hit the market in April. So we're gonna try the ginger lime here, chill the crush and kick back. Since we're just chilling here, we thought we'd give you a little chill. Cheers to a little seltzer.
Cheers.
Cheers, yes. 4% alcohol, no carb, gluten-free, no sugar. I obviously didn't want to be too sweet.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the lack of sweetness. It's dry, the flavor's subtle, not too carbonated.
Yes.
I'm gonna come back in a few years and you're gonna have like whiskey barrel-aged seltzer.
Well, listen, the market's
I can
going
tell
to-
you we're gonna
market-
have more than
market-
3 flavors. I promise you that.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
your beers
cheers.
with us.
Load you up for your backpack ride. Hopefully we see you again on your return trip.
Oh, hell yeah.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
This is where we come party. Well, where are you off to next on your adventures?
Tomorrow we're going to head towards Bozeman.
Yep.
Maybe stop in Yellowstone. We'll see what the road does, kind of. Start catching rides.
what brewery are you going to in Bozeman?
Mountains Walking. Stop
They
number
make
one.
great beers. Tell them we said hello.
I hadn't eaten anything or had coffee, and it was like, let's hop this breakfast beer. And I think I threw up, but like it was delicious. It was delicious when it was there, and I was like, no, this is so expensive.
You are related. It's obvious. Cheers.
We have the same birthday or something. Yeah, it's weird. Fucking Geminis.